Welcome back everybody. Check out this noise. In this video you're going to see me install a new dishwasher. I wasn't going to even consider changing out the motor and pump on an almost 20-year-old builder's grade dishwasher. So if you want to learn how to DIY your dishwasher install, keep watching and let's go. So I went with this GE dishwasher that was on sale for $400 off, because reading reviews, it seems like all the different brands have their issues. Would have loved the Bosch, but they're quite expensive. Now as a DIYer, there was no way I was going to pay an extra $200 for installation and another $50 for haul away. Now check this out, after a few really loud washes, the noise went away, and my wife suggested that we wait to see if that would last longer. But I knew it was the end, and the loud noise was going to come back. Plus, see how the rack was missing pieces? And inside, see how there were areas that were rusting? So unfortunately, it was just time to put her down. Alright, let's get going. The first step is to clear everything from under the kitchen sink. Now the hot water comes from behind the cabinet and goes in two directions. One to this water shutoff valve, which is connected to the kitchen faucet with this faucet hose. And then two, if you follow this CPVC pipe, it goes to this flow type valve. From there, this hose brings the water to the dishwasher. This corrugated hose is how the dishwasher drains its water. You can see how it comes from the cabinet up here. Besides the electrical under the dishwasher, the water hose and this corrugated drain hose is what we need to disconnect to remove the old dishwasher. Now to shut the water in these flow type valves, you have to pull the handle, which is hard to do. I couldn't do it on mine in the position I was in. I don't want to use too much force because you can easily break the CPVC pipes behind the cabinet or in the wall, and that would be a big repair. Look how these pipes are moving. You're going to see me soon replace that flow type valve, and I'll talk more on why later. While I'm working in here, I want to secure this pipe, so I take a measurement and cut a couple pieces of scrap wood that I'll use with a tube strap to secure it. If you look at the pipe fittings, you can see what size pipe you're working with, 1/2 inch for this one. So here's everything needed during the water shutoff valve replacement. This is the 1/2 inch tube strap packaging and tube strap. I'll be using this brass craft water shutoff valve. See how you can see PVC cement this valve right to the pipe? I wanted a 1/4 turn valve, but I couldn't find one at the big box store. You can also size your pipe by looking right on the side if it's in a visible area with the identification info. I'm going to use this one-step CPVC cement, and this is the 1/2 inch coupling I'll use. Now if you already have a proper water shutoff valve, this dishwasher kit is all you should need. They cost about 20 bucks, and it comes with all the connectors and adapters you would possibly need for your install. These kits are great because they save you from the dreaded trip back to the store during a project. Let me show you under the dishwasher where everything is hooked up. There's two parts to this dishwasher's toe kick. These two screws are holding the lower part, and these two screws are holding the upper part. I first give it a baby wipe. If you watch my videos, you know I baby wipe a lot to clean. I next move over this cushioned kitchen mat to lay on it as I work under here. It's more comfortable than a hard tile floor. So this is what's under here. The water hose is attached here. The electrical is under this cover. That's where we'll see the wire nuts. Here's the corrugated drain hose hooked up back here. Okay, let's get going. I turn the water on to the kitchen sink, and then I go outside and shut the water to the whole house. Back at the kitchen sink, I verify the water is now off. Next, I put back the tray that I used to store the chemicals under the sink to catch any water that drips down as I change the water shutoff valve. I next position my PVC cutter and make the cut. Check out the water draining from the pipes. This is why I put down that tray. I next use sandpaper to smooth the area where I made the cut, which will ensure that the coupling slips on easier. Then I go ahead and just cut the hose where it goes through the cabinet so I can remove the flow type valve. You pull to close and push to open these flow type valves. See how difficult it is? They're very cheap and prone to leak. If you encounter one of these valves during a project, go ahead and change it out. This is what I think of it. Okay, the first step with installing the new valve is I need to take a measurement so I know how long I need to cut the pipe. After getting the cement ready by a quick stir and leaving the cap open, I next give everything a quick wipe to clean it. I don't want any dust or debris on it. Then I apply the cement on the valve, then the pipe. I wipe a little bit I got on the face, then apply some more cement on the pipe. I insert the pipe in the valve and give it a slight twist. While holding it tight while the cement dries, I wipe off the excess cement. I next transfer that measurement I took under the sink and make my mark with the Sharpie and then my cut with the PVC cutter. I purposely left it longer than needed because I go back under the sink and make my final mark now that I can eye the position and the placement. But back at my workbench, I make my cut slightly shorter than the mark because the coupling adds a little length. After a quick sand, I go ahead and cement the coupling to the pipe. Same process. I add the cement to the pipe, then to the coupling. I insert the coupling into the pipe, give it a slight twist, baby wipe it clean, finally holding it until it sets up. I go ahead and close the valve now before I forget later and turn the water back on with it open. Let's go install it. So after a quick double check, I like how everything's lining up. I'm ready to install it. I put a paper towel down to catch any drips from the cement. I put some cement on the pipe and then on the coupling and then another spin on the pipe. I go ahead and insert it with a slight twist. I'm facing the valve toward the dishwasher and I hold it until the cement sets up. After a quick baby wipe, here's a shot how it came out. Now that I have the new water shutoff valve installed, I go ahead and pull out my tray and empty the water into the sink. You never want this amount of water soaking into your cabinets. The PVC cement has a set time about 2 minutes, but I always wait longer than that. After about 15 minutes, I go ahead and turn the sink back on and then go outside and turn the water back on for the whole house. With the water running, I check for leaks. I don't see any, so I shut the water off, and with the line pressurized, I keep checking. Now that we have that part of the project completed, let's start removing the old dishwasher. The first step is taking the screws out that are going into the countertop securing the dishwasher. I was missing the second one without even knowing it. Next is to disconnect the electrical. I take off the junction box cover. With my voltage detector on the hot, I go to my breaker panel, find the dishwasher breaker location, and turn it off. Now that I'm sure there's no power, I go ahead and take the wire nut off the common. Using my lineman's pliers, I untwist the wires. On these appliance plugs, the smooth side is the hot and the rib side is the common, but I just take white electrical tape and wrap it right now on the common so I don't have to think about it later. Next, I take the wire nuts off the ground and hot wires and retwist the stranded wire together. You want the wire straightened as much as possible for when you pull it through the junction box. Next, I unscrew the lock nut. Now I can pull the wires out and re-secure the lock nut for safekeeping. I'll reuse it on the new dishwasher. I go ahead and unplug the cord, and note if you're installing a dishwasher new, not just changing it out, you can purchase these appliance plugs from the store you bought the dishwasher from or any of the big box stores. Now it's disconnected, I pull it out so it's out of the way. I next want to glue the two pieces of wood together that I'm going to use to support the water shutoff's piping so it's dry when I go to install them. I'm using Gorilla Glue Clear. My bottle was a little old, so I used Q-tips to spread it because it wouldn't squeeze out. I clamp it up and leave it drying on my workbench until I'm ready to install them. You'll see me later shoot a couple nails in them just to really pin it together. Next, I take my PVC cutter and cut the corrugated drain hose right where it goes into the cabinet. Then I loosen the hose clamp and pull the drain hose from the garbage disposal and remove it. Next, I use my adjustable wrench to turn the leveling legs to raise them up. I need to do this to all 4 legs to be able to pull the old dishwasher out. The feet of these leveling legs are shaped so that you can get a wrench on them. With these front ones, I was able to start raising them with the wrench and do the rest by hand. These back ones are hard to reach, and with the front ones raised, all the weight of the dishwasher is now on them. Watching this footage back, I should have started with the back ones first. Also note, you can use a ratchet with the proper size socket and turn them from the top. But it's really not hard to do, and I made quick work of it. So that's it, time to remove it. You just give it a pull and wiggle it out. Just consider your flooring when doing this. You might want to put a piece of cardboard down. Next, I grab my furniture dolly. You can buy these dollies for less than $20 pretty much at any store. I pick up the dishwasher and place it on the dolly, then grab some packing tape and tape the drain hose and the water hose to the back so I don't drip water throughout my whole house. Time to go throw out this old beast. She served the family well. Without all those fancy electronics, she just continued to work for 19 years. I was so sad to have to put her down. I'm going to show you now how to save the $50 haul-away fee. You just bring it to your local waste facility. I call it the dumps. You just need to print out your tax bill and bring your license with your address. I'm always surprised how many people don't know you can do this. With a final push, I just saved $50. I picked up the new dishwasher at Lowe's, and again, with the help of the furniture dolly, get it into the house. Let's go unbox it and get the directions out. You use a utility knife to cut at the bottom of the box where there's a picture of a perforated line, and then you just lift it up. I open up the dishwasher door and get the installation parts out and the owner's guided installation instructions. Next, I vacuum everything that found its way under the old dishwasher. I use my scraper to get anything that was stuck. A lot of this is from grout from the original towel install. One final vacuum, and then I give it a quick baby wipe. I want to now install that support for the pipes. After taking off the clamps, I pick the proper size nails and shoot 4 of them with my pneumatic brad nailer into the 2 boards. Next, I use my countersink drill bit and drill 2 holes. I insert the first screw and screw it in. I check the depth and back it back out and then screw it in a little deeper. I repeat that for the second hole. I don't want it sticking through the back of the cabinet too far since there's plumbing back there. I finally back it out a bit but leave it in and the second screw in the wood started. I next cleaned some wood splinters from the back of the wood. Here's a close-up shot what the tube strap clamping to the pipe will look like. Next, I spread some more Gorilla Glue clear on the back of the wood support. I grabbed the 2 screws for the tube strap itself, and my drill, and head back under the sink. I unplugged the garbage disposal cord and get it out of the way, and slip the wood around the pipe. I drill the first screw in easy, but the garbage disposal is preventing me from screwing in the second screw. I put a shorter Phillips bit on, and I still can't get it to drive in, even from a different angle, so I go ahead and remove the garbage disposal. It's not really hard to do, the 2 bolts for the drain pipe, and it just twists off. So now I can go ahead and drive the second screw in. I drive the first screw in a little bit more and then install the tube strap. That would have also been impossible to do without removing the garbage disposal. Now when I give these pipes a shake, everything is way more stable. All that's left is to reinstall the garbage disposal. After a quick baby wipe to clean the mounting bracket, I lift it up and attach it to the mounting ring with the outlet facing the drain pipe connection. And then I reconnect the drain pipe with the 2 bolts. I don't tighten the bolts all the way, I just get them started for alignment. I turn the lower mounting ring until the disposal is locked into place, then finish tightening the 2 bolts. I plug the disposal back in, and that little project within a project is complete. So here's all the parts and instructions. These are the trim pieces that go around the dishwasher. It comes with a new drain hose, a cable tie to hang the drain hose if necessary. We won't be using that. Some dishwasher soap, the mounting brackets, plug buttons and screws, and a junction box cover. There's this extended warranty offer, and this is what I need, the installation instructions. So let's go through the steps together. Step 1, preparation. Locate the items in the installation package. We just did that, so let's move to the next step. Step 2, check door balance. This is for models if you're installing a custom door panel, which is not us. Step 3 says remove the wood base, install the leveling legs. Important, don't kick off the wood base, move the dishwasher closer to the installation location, remove the 4 legs and discard the base. Okay, let's go. I lay it down on its back, remove the cardboard covering the wood base, and move that and the dolly out of the way. Next, I use a 5/16 socket to remove the 4 leveling legs, which is how the wood base is being secured. I was supposed to reinstall the legs right back on in step 3, but I missed that and moved on to step 4, but we'll reinstall them later on. Step 4 is to remove the toe kick. There are just 2 screws on this one. Step 5 doesn't relate to my model. Step 6, install the 90-degree elbow. It says to ensure the rubber gasket is located between the valve and the elbow and not to over tighten. So opening the package on the dishwasher connector kit, I pull out the 90-degree elbow and braided stainless steel over PVC hose. Whenever you have a rubber gaskets or O-rings, you don't need to use Teflon tape or thread sealant. Let's go install it. So again, don't over tighten this elbow. I'm being careful with my pliers, and I position it facing the rear of the dishwasher. Next is step 7, install drain hose to drain loop. And step 9, I'll show you what they mean by drain loop. But for now, I slip the clamp on and then insert the drain hose. Then use my pliers to squeeze the clamp open and position it, connecting the drain hose. We are now on step 8. Position waterline and house wiring to avoid interference with base of dishwasher and components under dishwasher. So after I verify there's no power, I plug the appliance plug in. Then I use packing tape to keep it into position. Then I insert the water hose through the cabinet and pull it from inside the cabinet. Then I tape it into position with duct tape because packing tape didn't hold. It took several pieces to hold it straight. I'll remove this tape once I get the dishwasher installed. This is when I jump back to step 3 because I forgot to reinstall the legs. It says to screw them on 1/2 inch from the frame. So after screwing all 4 back on, I use my measuring tape to set them at that 1/2 inch measurement. This step's important for later when you go to level the dishwasher. So next, I need to get the dishwasher closer to its enclosure. So I flip it onto its legs, put the insulation blanket back on, move my moving blanket out of the way, and use a piece of cardboard to help slide it over. I remove that cardboard and I'm ready for step 9, which is to install the drain hose through the cabinet. Now this is the high drain loop. See how it's attached high in the back of the dishwasher? The high drain loop prevents wastewater from backflowing from your sink to your dishwasher. It's time to insert the drain hose through the cabinet. I remove the tape holding it during shipping and feed the drain hose in the hole in the cabinet, which is also high up. I keep feeding it in and then I go under the sink and straighten it up. You're going to see later in the video, I realize this drain hose attached to the drain loop is too long, so I remove it. But because it's real long, it's helping me feed it through the cabinets. Next is step 10, slide dishwasher 3/4 of the way into the cabinet. The directions warn you not to push with your knee on the front panel. As I wiggle it in, I noticed the insulation blanket was coming off, so I stop and put some duct tape to hold it into place. This is not in the directions, but I want to make sure it stays where it's supposed to be. So continuing with step 10, you got to try to make sure that the drain hose does not get kinked. So as I push the dishwasher in, I go in the cabinet and pull the drain hose. The goal is to get the dishwasher 6 inches short of being pushed all the way in. Then I push the dishwasher in a little bit more, then I give the drain hose another pull. Here's a close-up shot so you can see what I'm doing exactly in the cabinet. The directions also explain to make sure during this process, the wiring, drain line, and water line do not interfere with components under the dishwasher. So I take a look under, and the only thing I had to untangle was the wiring. Step 11 is next, install trim pieces. There's pictures of how it should look. You start with the top trim piece and line up the center to the top latch. You press the top trim piece onto the tub flange, moving from one side to the other. Then you take the side trim piece and align the top edge with the top trim and press it onto the side of the tub flange, moving from top to bottom. This was a little bit of a battle. You got to push really hard to get it to clip on. Finally, you take the other side trim piece and align the top edge with the top trim and press it onto the side of the tub flange, moving from top to bottom. One final push on the top trim piece, and let me give you a close-up shot what it should look like installed. You want to make sure it's inserted all the way in. This is how it should look where the side piece meets the top piece. See how it's notched out? Following the top piece, this is what it should look like around the top latch. And then again, see how the side trim piece meets the top? You will see soon how I decided to tuck the trim in around the cabinet for my install because of the way my cabinet sidewall is. Step 12, installing the mounting brackets. So with the mounting brackets, you have a choice between installing them to the underside of the countertop if it's wood or wood-like material, or side mounting if your countertops are granite or similar material that will not accept wood screws. And depending on your cabinets and install conditions, you can bend and break the brackets to shorten them, which you'll see me do next. So I know I need the brackets at their shortest length. So I take 2 adjustable pliers, I use one to hold the bracket at the point where I want it to break, and the other I use it to bend it back and forth. You just keep working it until it snaps. Now if I wasn't filming, I would use this vise I have mounted on my shop desk to hold the bracket and then bend it back and forth with my pliers. But for this video I'm using 2 pliers because of where my camera is mounted over my workbench. This is what it will look like when you're done. So whoever engineered this bracket should be fired. This is how you're supposed to install this. Bending them as you twist the tab upward, but it feels like it's going to break when you go to do this, and I couldn't get it to secure tightly. You're supposed to bend it towards you, then twist up, but I was missing, couldn't figure out the bend part. Here's a close-up shot from the instructions. Some of the dishwasher brands use a screw to secure this bracket, which in my opinion is best. As you watch me install the second one, see how I'm just twisting? This bracket design is cheesy. Now some people use painter's tape to hold it in place. I took my rubber mallet and squeezed it against the side trim piece so it wouldn't be flapping in the wind. Okay, now step 13, push dishwasher into final position. It explains to check the insulation blanket. I taped that. Push the dishwasher into final position by pushing on the sides of the door panel. I do that. Next, it warns you about having the correct alignment. If you install your dishwasher flush to the cabinet, you have to make sure the door fits and swings back behind the cabinet frame. And then it warns you about the trim pieces, that they do not contact the dishwasher door. Okay, let's get the dishwasher into its final position. I pull on the drain hose to make sure it doesn't get kinked, and then I push it in. It's not heavy, so it pushes in pretty easy. Then I give the drain hose another pull. I check underneath to see how everything's looking, and just straighten the electrical. Now let me show you how I install the trim. Do you see how the directions show it tucked in and not folded back over, possibly getting trapped by the dishwasher door? But when I watch other install videos, it's not tucked in, it's tucked out. But as you can see, because the right side of my cabinet has this end panel and empty space, I have to tuck it in. This will also come into play when I install the bracket. I'll explain more about that then. So I take my putty knife and start tucking the trim pieces, working from top to bottom on the side ones. It's not hard to do. The directions say you can also cut these trim pieces if necessary. If your enclosure is tight to your dishwasher, you can leave them off and not install them at all. But I have just enough space to tuck them in, giving it a tight and clean look. Here's a shot how it looks. What do you guys think? The trim gives it a finished look. The top had more of a gap, so it was the easiest to tuck in. I bet it also helps with noise reduction. Okay, next we're on step 14, level dishwasher. The directions say to put a level on the door, and after taking the lower rack out, another level inside. And then turn the legs to adjust the level. So I remove the last of the packing material and remove the lower rack. I next place my 2 levels and take a look. This is hard to film, but both bubbles are between the lines, but just slightly off. So after taking note of which legs I have to turn, I go under the dishwasher and turn the legs. It's a little bit bit of trial by error, so you just figure it out as you go for it. So I go ahead and make my adjustments and then check my level again. Since I wasn't off by much, it just took a few turns. Here's a shot what you should see once everything is level. The level on the door is looking perfect, and having my level that lights up inside the dishwasher really helped, and that one looks good too. Listen to this quick talk through.
When you're done, everything should look even here. Here, the whole thing should look even as you go around. At first, it was kind of like this. This was sticking out farther than this, but now that I leveled it, it looks square. And then I just let this touch right here, and I put the tape measure and see that it's like 1 inch and 1 inch. I don't want to slam it shut because then it'll move. So that was the best I could think of how to see if I'm pretty even.
So after lowering the top rack, we are on step 15, secure to countertop or cabinet. Even though my original dishwasher was screwed into my Corian countertop, I'm going with securing it to the cabinet, which you'll see now, but it was a challenge. Here's the screws and plug buttons we are going to use, and I size up my drill bit that I'll use to pre-drill the holes with. So this is the hole in the tub that gives you access to the brackets, and here's a close-up shot. You can see a piece of the black trim through the bracket hole. Right here is the cabinet face frame where the instructions say not to screw in, but I need to, especially on the other side. I could glue and pin a piece of scrap wood on the inside of the cabinet face right here. This way I don't need to make a modification to the bracket you'll see me do soon, but that would take a lot of time. So I removed the third rack, and after a failed attempt to try to drill on an angle to hit the faceplate and screw a screw in, I give up and decided to drill another hole in the bracket. So that's what you're seeing me do here. On this side, I could have used the original hole and let the bracket bend a lot to hit the side of the cabinet here, but instead, I drilled another hole in the bracket that lines up better with the cabinet face. Here's a shot so you can see where I drilled the hole. That hole will now allow me to hit that cabinet face. Here's the other side so you can see how it came out. Now because I had to pull the dishwasher back out to modify the brackets, I had to repeat all the steps with pushing the dishwasher into its final position. Give the drain hose a pull to ensure it's not kinked, use my putty knife to go around and tuck all the trim back in, and finally re-level the dishwasher. Once you move it, even though you put it right back in the exact same spot, it still somehow throws off its level. I double checked that it's square by taking that 1 inch measurement I showed you earlier during the talk through with the door slightly propped open, and I'm ready to secure it. I first magnetized my Phillips drill bit. See how it holds the screw now? That will help me not drop it when I go to screw it in. So next I go ahead and drill the pilot hole through my new hole in the bracket. Then I screw the screw in. I guess because I'm right-handed, this side was easy for me to do. But on the other side, after I drilled the hole, I was struggling to get the screw in. After failed attempts with the drill, I just used my Phillips screwdriver and started the screw by hand. Then jumped to the other side and reached over the door and screwed it in with the drill. Hey, whatever works. I give it a final check and the dishwasher is now installed. So here's a shot so you can see how everything looks after attaching the dishwasher brackets into the cabinet face frame, which as I mentioned earlier, the instructions said do not do. Let me show you what it looks like with the door closed. And here's a side view so you can get an idea how far it's sticking out. As you can see, my countertops are not flush with the cabinets, which allows this to work. Again, I would have had to glue and pin a piece of wood on the other side here because there's no cabinet on this side and there's an empty cavity here. Here's a shot from the top, and as you can see, you can slightly see the buttons, which I actually like. When it's operating, I can peek in there and see the display to see how much longer until the cleaning cycle needs before it's done. Let's go back in time so you can see how the old dishwasher was installed the same way. So if you have a similar enclosure like mine and your countertop overhangs enough, you can keep it flush with the face frame. What also helped, I purchased a dishwasher without a protruding door handle because that would have made it stick out even more. So I hope that information helps someone out, and if you're liking this video, please subscribe so you don't miss out on more videos like this. Okay, let's keep going. Step 18, connect power supply. We're going to connect the green to green, white wire to gray wire with white tape, black wire to gray wire with no tape. Now if you forgot to identify your neutral or hot when you were disconnecting the old dishwasher and you don't know how to read the smooth or ribbed sides of the wire, you can turn the power on after making sure the wires are not touching and use your voltage tester to find which wire is the hot. Then turn the power back off, do your double check with your voltage tester, and now you'll know which is which. That will ensure you're not incorrectly wiring up your dishwasher. So I take the piece of tape that was holding the wires in place, then get all my wires straightened up. I'm now ready to reinstall the clamp connector. After unscrewing the lock nut, I insert the wires and screw the lock nut back on. As you can see, this is really easy to do, not rocket science. You just need to absolutely make sure that the breaker is off and you have no power when working with electricity. So now I go ahead and hook up the ground. I really can't twist the wires together because they have a soldered end. I'm just using the wire nut to make the connection. Next I connect the neutral. Remember, I identified it with the white tape when I disconnected it, so that's how I know which one to connect. And finally, I connect the hot, which is the black wire. I give everything a slight tug to make sure that the wire nut is securing the connection. So all that's left with the electrical is to put the junction box cover back on. Right here is where you need to insert the right side of the junction box cover. I had to stick my phone inside here filming and then review the footage to find it. You want to make sure none of the wires are getting pinched under the cover, so just work it until it's resting on the mounting bracket without any resistance or wires sticking out. Then using the provided number 10 hex head screw on the left side, secure the cover. The hardest part of this step was finding that opening in the bracket to slip the cover tab in. So did anybody catch I jumped ahead? I got so excited to get the electrical hooked up, I skipped step 16 and 17. Okay, so back to step 16, connect water supply. The instructions explain 2 ways how to connect a water supply line to the 90-degree elbow. We're not using copper tubing, so we just need to attach the flexible braided hose with an adjustable wrench. After removing the duct tape, I attached a nut at the end of the hose onto the 90 and screwed as tight as I can by hand. Then I started tightening with my adjustable wrench, but I kept losing its setting. So I got my 5/8 wrench, and that was easier to maneuver in this tight space. I was thinking that maybe it would have been easier to install the 90 on the hose first and then leave it under the dishwasher, then install it on the water valve at this point. But I don't know if I could get the adjustable pliers under here either. Anyway, it doesn't need to be super tight because it has an O-ring, and I just keep working it with small turns and get it installed. So on the other side of the hose under the kitchen cabinet, I wrap the excess hose around the drain pipe to keep it out of the way and hand tighten it on the water shutoff. Then I use my adjustable wrench to tighten it the rest of the way. Again, you don't need to crank it down. I just turn it until it gets tighter and I feel resistance, then another small turn or two after that. The directions also point out in step 16, it's important to check that the drain and water hose are not interfering with the door spring or door spring cable. So I stick my phone back there recording and then review the footage to see both hoses are sufficiently away from both and it's looking perfect. So I had to run out and pick up this dishwasher connector kit. Since I don't need the drain hose this long, once I remove it, there'll be no way of connecting it to the garbage disposal. You're now seeing me remove some duct tape that I put on the garbage disposal inlet so we can use the kitchen sink without the water coming out during this install. So next I use my adjustable pliers and squeeze open and move over the hose clamp and remove the drain hose I added in step 7. I size up the drain hose connector and use my scissors to cut it to size. It takes 2 tries, but after the second I have it at the right diameter, and then I slip the hose clamp on, insert the hose, and install the clamp. Like I mentioned earlier, having the extra length of drain hose did make it easier to feed it through the cabinet, so that wasn't a wasted step. After securing the hose clamp, all that's left is to push the hose connector onto the garbage disposal inlet. On the garbage disposal side, it gets a hose clamp that has a band with a 5/16 hex nut that you tighten. This type of hose clamp makes a really secure connection, ensuring during the dishwasher's drain cycle, the drain hose doesn't disconnect and flood your cabinet or house. So here's a shot so you can see how everything came out under the kitchen sink. I have the water hose connected to the water shutoff up out of the way from whatever we store inside this cabinet. And you can see how the drain hose comes out of the top of the cabinet and makes a nice smooth path and connection to the garbage disposal. I go ahead and put the tray back because it's time to turn the water on and check for leaks. I turn the water on and I start feeling and listening for leaks. So far nothing in the cabinet. I next go under the dishwasher and keep feeling, looking, listening for any leaks. Looking great, I'm not seeing any with the water line. Once we run it, we'll do a drain cycle and see about the drain line. I next install the 2 plug buttons that cover the screw holes for the mounting brackets because I didn't see that in step 15. Then I double check that there's nothing in the dishwasher. The bottle jet clips were in the silverware basket, but I don't discover them yet. Then I remove the protected film from the control panel and door. It's nice that they put this on here so you don't get fingerprints on them during the install. Step 19, pre-test checklist. This checklist is too long to go through line by line, but the main thing it explains is to get hot water running and then add 1 quart of water to the bottom of the dishwasher to lubricate the pump seal. So I get my measuring cup and I add the water. Step 20, dishwasher wet test. The instructions are to run a cycle and check for leaks. So I set a cycle, and then when I hit start and shut the door, at first it drains. So I check to make sure I don't have any leaks under the dishwasher, and then I check in the cabinet at the garbage disposal connection. But then I hear that the water's filling, so I go back under the dishwasher and I check to make sure I didn't have any water line leaks. And then I go in the cabinet to check to make sure I didn't have any leaks at the water shutoff. So far I'm seeing nothing. I go back under the dishwasher again for one more look, and I let it finish its cleaning cycle. I had walked away until it finished, but checked for leaks one last time. Now it ran a complete cleaning cycle. Step 21 doesn't pertain to us, but step 22 is replace toe kick. So I go ahead and screw on the first screw, then I install the second screw, making quick work of it. And here's a shot how it looks installed. Next, I put back all the chemicals under the sink. Step 23 is install bottle jets clips. You see me here installing the last 2 of 4, but as you see, this is really easy. Finally, my last step is to change the magnetic clean dirty sign. No way I was going to put the old one on my new dishwasher. I can't live without this sign. Pick this one up at Amazon for less than $10. So that's it guys, how'd it come out? Let me know down in the comments below. And please remember to hit the thumbs up if you like this video, and be sure to subscribe. Also hit that bell icon. Is this a DIY project you'll try in the future? As a DIYer, there was no way I was going to pay $250 for something I know I can do myself. If I added up all the projects over the years I did myself and calculated what I would have had to pay to hire out the job, I would not have been able to afford 2/3 of them. Consider that during your home DIY journey. Thanks for watching. Click on any of these links on the screen to check out my other home DIY videos. We're loving our new GE dishwasher. It's so quiet compared to the old one, and I'm talking about before it got even louder because it broke. We can even run it when we're watching a movie in the family room, so fingers crossed that it lasts as long as the old one. Yeah, right. Bye everyone.